What's up, guys? It is Wednesday, August 7th. I have an awesome guest on the podcast today. Alex Adelman, CEO of Lolli, joins me to discuss how Lolli is driving consumer adoption, and we also talk about the future of Bitcoin. This is a really great episode where we go into a ton of detail, so definitely stick around until the end. As always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and share your favorite episode with a friend, family member, colleague, someone that you think needs to learn more about crypto. Enjoy.
This is the BlockHash Podcast.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. Well, how's your week going?
Really good. We've been on a tear. We have a lot of really exciting partnerships coming up, and we just brought in a new head of communications. A lot of good things happening.
Yeah, it's good to hear. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your story and your background and how you got into the whole crypto space?
Yeah, so I guess I really got started in the Bitcoin space about 5 years ago when I was building my last company, Cosmic. And what Cosmic did is we created this e-commerce gateway that let merchants sell their products in different channels. And we had this very similar mission, which was, how do we democratize commerce? How do we give everyone in the world the ability to buy and sell anywhere? And about 2 years in, I remember learning about Bitcoin and just being absolutely fascinated with the technology, the principles of it, and just really started to pay attention to all the cool things going on in the space. So as we continue to build Cosmic, we were this e-commerce gateway. We went really deep into the payment space, the security space. We would hook into the back end of everyone from Target all the way down to Shopify merchants, and got to really see I think what merchants were optimizing for and what they were looking for, and ended up getting acquired by one of our biggest customers, which was Pop Sugar, to come in and power ShopStyle with 1.2 billion in retail revenue. And then about a year in, after about 10x growth, we ended up getting acquired again by an even bigger company called Ebates. So taking sort of this idea around cashback at Ebates and seeing how U.S. consumers, international consumers wanted rewards, they want cash back, and also, being really fascinated with Bitcoin and Bitcoin adoption more so, I got really interested in this idea of merging those two ideas and providing people with an easier way to get into Bitcoin aside from investing or mining, which most people I don't think ever would do or will do. So yeah, we parted ways with Ebates after about being there for about a year. And then we ended up starting a new company called Lolli that gave people a really easy way to earn Bitcoin when they shop online. We launched about 10 months ago, and we have over 900 merchants on the platform. Things have gone really well. So here we are today.
Wow, 900 merchants. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I use Lolli quite a bit, actually. At least the last few weeks, I've been using it quite a bit because I didn't hear about it until about a month ago. And then when I started using it, I thought that you guys would be similar to projects like Moon or whatever, or that you guys didn't have a lot of merchants or people that you're working with quite yet. Because I thought you guys were pretty early. But I mean, when I jumped into it and I saw the merchants, I was like, geez, I can buy wine, I can buy shoes, which I just did last night. I can buy shaving supplies, almost all the essentials. It's pretty comprehensive.
Thank you. Yeah, we've gotten to know a lot of these merchants over the last 8 years. So I think one of the nice things is we're not starting from scratch, and we have a lot of these direct partnerships that help us get higher rates than I think a lot of entry level relationships or early relationships could generate. So yeah, I'm glad you checked it out, and we're onboarding new merchants every day, and it's getting really exciting over here. Now I think a lot of merchants that were holding out are starting to see that their competitors have joined, and their competitors have done really well to engage the Bitcoin community. And they also see that there's a real opportunity for them to attract a new customer and compete with Amazon by offering Bitcoin back as an incentive mechanism.
Absolutely. Do you guys have any target merchants that you're still trying to onboard?
Amazon.
Is that the most in demand?
Yeah, them. Home Depot's really high in demand. Wayfair and Airbnb. So travel's been one of our biggest categories, and they right now we have Booking.com, which is the number one travel site in the world, and then Hotels.com, which is the number three travel site in the world, and Airbnb right now is number two according to SimilarWeb. So we've been working really hard to get Airbnb on board, and VRBO is Airbnb's like biggest competitor. They were sort of the original Airbnb, and they joined the platform pretty early on and have done really, really well. People like renting homes. So I think eventually, hopefully, all those partners that I mentioned will join us. They'll see that their competitors are doing really well, and hopefully they'll have to join us.
Yeah, Airbnb would be a huge one. I could see people using that all the time with Lolli, because you pretty much use it through online anyway. So, but do you guys have any like airlines or anything? Because I know that you guys are trying to hit travel pretty hard.
Yeah, we have a few airline providers. So Priceline and Cheapo Air are probably our two best, and they give flat fees for each airline, each flight. So the margins in airlines are actually pretty low. So it's nothing. It's not. I mean, every time people stack, it's a good thing, and every time people are earning Bitcoin, it's a good thing. But airlines don't have that high margins to play with. But hotels and car rentals for travel. And then home rentals are a really big category for us and do really well.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And it seems like you guys have put in a lot of work to get those merchants. Were there any obstacles growing Lolli or launching it to get it to where it is now?
Yeah, with any company, I think like our team, we built a company together. 7 out of 9 of us, worked together previously. 7 out of 10 of us now worked together previously. So the core team. We've gone through like a lot together, and it's been a really fun journey, and I think we're used to it at this point. But yeah, I think to get the initial merchants on board, it took some convincing because a lot of them were not familiar with Bitcoin, and they've now they're like I think one of the cool parts that I don't think a lot of people talk about is the merchant adoption has been very real, and I would love to actually put this to the test, but I think we've actually have probably more merchant adoption than just about any other Bitcoin company. So especially like Fortune 5,000, Fortune 1,000 merchants that are on our platform that are actually like engaged in using it. So I think initially getting a lot of these bigger merchants on board, they had a lot of questions about Bitcoin and the price volatility, and also some of the nefarious characters and events that they probably heard about over the years. But I think it was. I've been selling enterprise software for like the last 7 years, and a lot of it you just have to find out what they're optimizing for, and really we just positioned it around point systems. So giving them the ability to go to like their bosses and say, look, it's just a point system, but instead of some sort of arbitrary point that a company decides on, it's Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is no one controls, and it's decided by everybody. How much it's worth, and it's completely decentralized. And so I actually think that they've learned a lot over the last 10 months because they see all of these new customers, they see these sales, and they're really excited by that opportunity to reach this new customer that wants to shop at their site instead of Amazon and others.
Yeah, it's a fantastic like in the middle intermediary for a company that might be unsure about Bitcoin or whatever, but that would still like to target those customers, and for the customers that would like to acquire Bitcoin but like you said earlier aren't keen on mining or don't necessarily know how to go on to Coinbase and buy Bitcoin or whatever. It does present like a very different and interesting way to kind of get in between the two and to kind of merge both the customer that's into Bitcoin and the company. So yeah, it's very awesome what you guys are doing.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. It's a lot about like I have this thesis that a lot of people, clearly a lot of people are never going to mine. It's just expensive. It's difficult to understand, and that's okay. Like mining can operate all over the world by people that are very, I guess, technically savvy that can do that. And I'm sure that people are going to mine from their home, and I encourage that, and we want to support that. And then the next wave of Bitcoin adopters came from investors, and they rely on exchanges, either centralized or decentralized exchanges, in order to buy Bitcoin. The fact is that most of the world, I would say way more than, actually even more than 99% of the world, is never going to be a day trader or an active investor. And they need other ways. If we are going to ever reach hyper Bitcoinization, if we're ever going to adopt new digital currencies, we need to usher in this next wave of consumers. And one thing that all people do is shop online. And so it's a very easy way for people to dip their toes in the space and learn about it. And I think that if you give everybody, $15, $20, $30, $45, $50 in Bitcoin over the course of a few months, just from them buying groceries, and they can start to pay attention to the space and understand the principles, part of it will be about the price, and they'll be either attracted to it or turned off by it, the volatility, but as any investor would. But a lot of people will start to pay attention to the principles of Bitcoin because they now own it, and they can tell their friends, "I own Bitcoin." And every time it comes back up in the news, they can sort of identify with Bitcoin, where before I don't think too many people could identify with it because they feel like they got left out because it's been around for 10 years at this point. So I'm really excited for one. I mean, I love introducing Bitcoin to people that already have it because everyone wants to stack more sats. And I think that's exciting. But I'm even more excited about the people who have never had Bitcoin that are just getting it for the first time with Lolli and are converting to this new way of thinking about currency and store value.
Absolutely. And no, I tell people all the time the best way to learn about Bitcoin is to actually own some, to buy some. Not go out and buy 10 grand in Bitcoin, but buy $10 in Bitcoin. You can buy a really small amount. So I tell people all the time, just go buy some, play around with it, lose it, send it to somebody, receive it, understand how the technology works. There's no excuse not to. And if you have trouble going out and setting up Coinbase or something, then Lolli is a great alternative because you don't really have to do a whole lot. It kind of just facilitates it for you.
Exactly.
So how does, I obviously know how Lolli works, but for the people that'll be listening, how does Lolli work?
Yeah, so the way that we develop these partnerships is we actually go to these merchants, and these merchants will pay us when our users shop their site. It's an incentive mechanism. It's a loyalty program. And so they pay us every time a user shops a site. Instead of us keeping it for ourselves, we actually share that with our consumers, our users, sending Bitcoin to their Lolli Wallet. After $15, you can move that Bitcoin anywhere you want, any address. You can actually exchange it to fiat with the US dollars. We just keep it really easy to actually own it, and we take care of all the partnerships, and then the user just has to store it in their custodial wallet through Lolli, or they can transfer it to their own address. For the consumer, it takes 15 to 30 seconds to download the extension. It goes in your Chrome browser, Safari, Firefox, whatever browser you use most. And then anytime that you go to, let's just say, Walmart or Priceline, it'll pop up and it'll say activate Lolli. If you want to unlock even more deals, you go to lolli.com and you just search all the stores on our site. You can sort them by category. You can rank them by Bitcoin back. And that's how a lot of our power users are actually making a lot of, earning a lot of Bitcoin by actually actively going to our site and searching the stores and really changing their purchasing. If they would have gotten it at Amazon, there's no reason why they can't go to Overstock or Walmart to go make those same purchases. And we have just about every category at this point. So there's really I would really put it to the challenge. On one podcast, we did this thing where the guys went through their last 10 purchases on Amazon and just to see if they could stack sats on them through Lolli, and they were able to. So we like to keep it really easy for people and give people as many opportunities to earn Bitcoin as possible.
Yeah, it seems really easy to use too, at least from my experience, because it just sits in your well, in my Chrome tab as it is an extension and just kind of like pops up when I'm on the site, or I can like search for stuff, which I actually do more often. I'll go into the app to see where I can buy stuff. So if I'm buying wine, or if I'm buying shaving stuff, or I'm buying shoes, I kind of just go through Lolli to see if that option's there. Because it's kind of nice how big of a cashback you get in Bitcoin. Like some of them are like 8-9%, and then some of the subscription, or one of the subscriptions, I think it was for like Harry's or whatever, is like 20 something percent. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there's like no reason not to use it.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of how we feel. It's like, it's free money. It's super easy to get involved in it. There's no risk. I think it's just a really easy way for people to get involved in Bitcoin without having to actually invest in it.
So regarding the Lolli Wallet, I haven't played around with it too much yet, but what's the security behind it? Is it something that there's a backup seed that the customer should be aware of? Is it handled all through Lolli, or what's the thought behind that?
No, so it's completely custodial at this point, and people can transfer it off to other wallets if they want to, manage their own seed, their own private keys. We take the utmost security protocols to protect people's Bitcoin, and we've diversified those protocols in order to ensure we're not like relying on any one party for our custody solutions. And it's our team's background is security and privacy. Our last company was like PCI level 1 compliant. We were dealing with Fortune 100 merchants payment data. We were doing pretty significant credit card tokenization. So we're really applying a lot of the same payment protocols and principles that we have worked in over the last 8 years with our last company and now this company. And then our engineering team, decades of experience in like security and payment space.
No, that's good. I mean, it's makes people a lot of iffy in the crypto space when they don't have the ability to like take their like seed for their wallet like off exchange, or like have like a second way of like securing their Bitcoin or their crypto. But I don't imagine people having that much in a Lolli wallet anyways, like unless you were like a mega purchaser and you're buying like all kinds of stuff and getting massive Bitcoin rewards. I don't see that necessarily being an issue anyways.
Yeah, if you can't trust us with like $50 in Bitcoin, it's like, come on, guys, like we got you. And it's we want everyone to learn about private keys eventually, but also it's like you should be able to trust us with like a little bit of Bitcoin. Now we do have some like power users that have stacked a lot of sats, and those it's like we need to encourage them to move that Bitcoin to their own wallets. And like a lot of them already have. So, I think like the state of where our users are at and how they're using it right now, like we feel very confident that we're the best custody solution to be able to handle a lot of different wallets carrying like small amounts. But yeah, I think over time, like a lot of our users have started to earn quite a bit. And it's up to us to educate them on the importance of key management and hardware wallets and all that good stuff.
Do you guys have any competition, or is Lolli kind of a one-man show at this point?
I think we are first to market and definitely best. I haven't seen any real competition that has really made us feel like we need to be doing something different or anything. Clearly there's like been a few copycats that came out of the gate that thought that they could like capitalize on the market. But I think the biggest thing is that there's so few people that saw what we saw at Ebates and have been in the space for as long as we have. So I think we've been able to execute really well. We have we have like tier 1 investors all across the board that like, a lot of defensibilities there on the consumer side and the crypto side. So I don't know, like I don't want to be like, sure, like there's people that are copying what we're doing because I think they see that we've been successful. and they're welcome to copy us. Doesn't make sense for us to like enforce our provisional patent on Bitcoin rewards or anything like that at this point. But I wouldn't compete against us. But anyone that does, create sort of like a competitive product, I think it's net good for Bitcoin if it brings more Bitcoin adopters. I think that's like a good thing. So I think as long as people are in it for the right reasons and they're not doing it as just sort of a marketing tactic, I think they'll be okay. We're in it to distribute Bitcoin to as many people as possible and to introduce this next wave of crypto currencies and digital cash and a new store of value. And I think a few of the competitors that have come out have just kind of used Bitcoin as like a marketing hook. So you can kind of see like who's in it and who's in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One question that I've actually gotten a lot of remarks on as well regarding Lolli is Lolli thinking about targeting any of the or onboarding any of the companies that are app-based, like Postmates, for example, or Uber Eats or DoorDash, since people are usually on their mobile device?
Yeah, so we just started work on a mobile application, and we're really excited to launch it at some point in the next few months. So we actually have a partnership with Caviar. We're about to announce a few other on-demand delivery applications that we just partnered with. So I think our whole thing, what you can expect from us over the next few months is really just giving people more ways to earn. I don't think there could ever be enough ways for people to be incentivized to earn. We want people to stack sats in just about everything that they do. So giving people more ways to earn is really important. I think you can expect us to onboard a lot of those food delivery partners. We want to get into coffee, getting your coffee every morning, going and getting gas, taking an Uber ride, a Lyft ride. All of these different ways that people can stack sats and earn Bitcoin, I think is going to be a good thing for our users, just to have more ways to earn.
Yeah, it's fantastic for the network, and it's fantastic for Bitcoin and all the users in general. If you have Starbucks and Postmates on there, I'll be using it every single day. You kind of eliminate the excuses not to use Lolli or not to accumulate Bitcoin or kind of be involved with it. It's a very simple concept that, at least for me, it works really well. And for people that I know that use it, it works really well. So definitely excited to see where you guys take that.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you using it and spreading it with more people.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you guys, I know that you guys are primarily focused on Bitcoin right now, but in the future, do you guys have potential plans or thoughts of allowing people to get rewards in a different altcoin other than Bitcoin?
Right now, I think Bitcoin's has proven its value to society in the biggest way, and I think a lot of altcoins still have a lot to prove. So I am not opposed to adding new currencies, and I read white papers all the time about new and exciting projects. I have no incentive to offer anything that has a chance of failure or has not launched yet. I just don't want to get into the game of distrust with our users. I think that our users right now trust us. We are Bitcoin only. There's extreme value, long-term value in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has already proven its value to society. There's just so many other projects out there that have tried to mimic the principles, and it keeps coming back to Bitcoin being able to execute on what it set out to do. So I think I'm really long on second layer solutions like Lightning and Liquid. Are two really exciting projects. And I just think there's going to be more and more applications that come out and second layer solutions that come out that make Bitcoin even better and live up to the promise that it always had. But right now, Bitcoin's an incredible store of value, and it's been, it is the only, I think, true decentralized currency that has reached a certain scale that I wouldn't say it's completely unbreakable yet, but it is pretty close, and nobody controls it. And there's something really powerful about that. I haven't seen that with too many other things in this world. I think I'm most excited about the fact that like every single person in the world can hypothetically own, trade, and use Bitcoin. And I don't know if there's too many other currencies that I would like put my faith in to do that at this point. I'm very open. I'm not dogmatic at all. Just as my personality is not dogmatic, but I do care about the trust of Lolli and the trust of our product. And you can't while I do believe in a free market and everybody can use Lolli to earn Bitcoin and buy whatever they want with the Bitcoin. And I know that there are some users that have used Bitcoin to go buy Ethereum. And that's great. Like we don't stop anyone from using Lolli at all or in any way that they want to. But right now we're very focused on Bitcoin. And then the second point is it's also a marketing tactic to a certain degree, in the fact that like Bitcoin is the simplest thing to understand. If you introduce 30 different currencies and someone has to then decide and you give them decision fatigue about how to what to earn and make them choose between all these currencies, it's tough on the onboarding side to get them into this new financial future this world that we want to live in, if you make it really difficult. If you just introduce them to Bitcoin, it's a simpler concept to understand and see the value of very quickly.
Absolutely. I like the simplicity of what you guys are doing with Lolli because it helps me come back to it almost on a daily basis to want to use it because there's not too many knobs and gears that I got to be turning. And I share your sentiment and excitement on Bitcoin, definitely, because it's by far the most established crypto and blockchain that's out there right now. And if I was in your position, I wouldn't want to necessarily jump to anything else too soon anyways, for all the same reasons. And you brought up the Lightning Network too, which is something that's really exciting. And I'm very excited to see where that ends up going. And I've used it and a number of little projects built on Lightning quite a few times. I've bought pizza with Lightning. It's pretty exciting what you can do with it and how it scales Bitcoin. Do you see Lolli doing any partnerships with Litecoin Network or integrating Lightning Network in future?
Absolutely. I really like the Lightning team, and we really haven't had a ton of demand for it. A lot of people have really been just using the Lolli custodial solution. Mm-hmm. But in some cases, when the network is spiking and they do request transfers, we don't charge any transaction fees on our end, but some people have, I think it's been like one or two people have been hit with high transaction fees on the Bitcoin network. And those people have been like, hey, it would be great if we could use Lightning. In those cases, it's such an edge case at this point that it hasn't been a big enough issue to really go through the implementation of adding Lightning. But I love the Lightning team. I think it's really exciting for what they're doing on top of Bitcoin, and I think it's almost at a point now where it would make sense to add it at some point in the near future. So we're keeping a close eye on it, and I think when we get to be bigger and we have more resources and more people are moving money off of the Lolli network, then it makes more sense to actually integrate Lightning. And then when we get into the payment side in the future, I think it also gets really exciting to implement Lightning as a mechanism for people to accept Bitcoin. If you're a merchant and you want to decrease your chargeback fees and you want an immutable currency, if you want to decrease your credit card fees that you just have as a cost of doing business, then it gets really exciting to actually look at Bitcoin as a solution that will lower the cost of transactions, and it will give people the ability to pay and maybe be even incentivized to pay in Bitcoin if they're using a second layer solution. That gets really exciting, I think, to when we start to go to all of our merchants and say, hey, Walmart, we've generated you tens of millions of dollars in sales at this point, and would you be interested in implementing Lightning Network through Lolli and having a pay with Lolli button that lets people pay very easily with Bitcoin on Lightning?
Absolutely. I really like how Lightning uses payment channels. It seems like it's a lot easier to encourage a business to want to use it because it's very direct, obviously very fast too. It's very scalable for Bitcoin. And I can picture pretty clearly in my mind being able to shop online with Lolli and save and all these places, and then have a payment option through the Lightning Network to use that $25-$30 that maybe I save up in Bitcoin cash back and buy a pizza with that, or buy some like everyday essentials at the store physically by bringing my phone with me. Or like there's a lot of interesting angles that you guys can definitely take. So yeah, excited to see any potential partnerships with that in the future, and obviously love what Lightning Network's doing too.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I love solutions that are like looking at Bitcoin that are. I mean, I think you can always like look at short term and sure. I mean, there's like a lot of exciting projects that just got started, and I'm not going to like shit on anybody that I don't know enough about. I just personally think like Bitcoin's the most developed network and has proven the most. So solutions I think that are like not necessarily looking for like short-term gains and are more looking for like long-term impact to Bitcoin, I think will be very successful. Lightning is one of those solutions I think has done a great job in building on top of Bitcoin and hopefully will be very successful because of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can see it being very successful, and then focusing on Bitcoin, in my opinion, is definitely the right move, just because it's so established right now, and everything else, all the other blockchains. I mean, a lot of them are fantastic, and I'm on them all the time, especially Ethereum and all the other platforms. But Bitcoin for this kind of stuff is definitely the most established, and I think most of your customer base would want to focus on it anyways. So I'm glad you guys are. And I know we've kind of talked about future of Lolli quite a bit already, but how does Lolli plan on growing from here, and what does Lolli's roadmap look like?
So the biggest thing that we just started working on is the mobile application, and that's going to give people more ways to stack sats, more ways to earn Bitcoin, coffee, gas, ride sharing, like all these different ways that you can earn on a daily basis as opposed to on a weekly, monthly basis with the current system. We're same protocols are going to apply to that. We're still building a Bitcoin wallet that lets people transact and earn anywhere. So that's going to be really exciting, on the horizon. And then just like, I mean, we have so many partnerships in the pipeline that we're about to announce. So I think following us on Twitter is the best way to follow along. We do have a blog. We post a lot of the blog posts on Twitter, but it's Try Lolli is the handle. And then download it. It takes literally like less than 30 seconds. So put it in your browser. We make it really, really easy. We protect your privacy. It's a secure way to earn Bitcoin. And and then we're all like the entire team is on Twitter. We're super open, always looking for feedback. So just let us know how we can be most helpful, and always looking to get feedback on where we can take the product. What direction we can take the product, what features you all want. But yeah, it's our community is amazing, and just very, very lucky, very thankful for everything that they've helped us do.
Yeah, I'll post some of those links in the description as well to the blog and to Twitter and whatnot, so they can check it out, and then the website, obviously, so they can go download Chrome, the extension for Chrome and whatnot. But yeah, I'm very excited about where you guys are going with Lolli, and thank you for coming on and talking about it and kind of sharing your experience and everything that Lolli's working on. And obviously, thank you for building Lolli too. It's fantastic. And as a user, I enjoy using it every day, and I'm sure a lot of people also enjoy using it, and they'll take a lot of value out of this podcast. So yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Great questions.
Yeah, again, thanks for coming on, and I'll see you next time.
All right, take care, man. Bye.